Those people don't understand that there is no definitive hierarchy of value when it comes to vocal techniques.
Hello my hamsters and welcome back to the little house with a beautiful sod that is my YouTube channel. So today we'll be speaking about classically Abby. Now, if I had a family member that is a historian and I tweeted something historically inaccurate, I don't have Twitter, I personally don't really like Twitter, but let's say I did have it and I did tweet something historically inaccurate. You would expect that family member, as a credible historian that they truly are, to go ahead and tell me, hey, do not tweet historically inaccurate things, right? Right? We agree on that, right? If you're classically Abby, no. I truly believe that each and every professional needs to understand that they have to keep up with levels of credibility, especially whenever you have 3 degrees in operatic singing. Seriously, 3 degrees. And you allow your brother to tweet things like rap is not music, period. How odd is that? How truly odd is that? So on top of these wonderful, wonderful things that went on, Abby went on The Scoop. The Scoop is basically her little girl chat corner where we speak everything from current events to her life to movies and books. And, one of the episodes featured WAP and obviously mentioned how it's unclassic and how it's too explicit for women, how it's the degradation of women. Although I may not agree with these things, I didn't really mind until Abby said that WAP isn't music. Now that, my friend, is unprofessional. So, first off, I go to a music school, and part of my education is allowing me to study solo singing one day. Basically, I study solo singing to some extent. And she's an opera singer, so she can be a great person to look up to, right? No, if you want to embody all the negative classical musician stereotypes, fine. But if you don't, she might not be the best opera singer to look up to. But her vocal technique and everything else, like she has this glorious medley of Disney songs. It's absolutely amazing. Sorry, my light is being a bit weird. Hopefully this is better. Hello, my lovelies. So yesterday I had a kind of creepy coincidence that happened to me, but it's very relevant. So let's get into this. I just finished practicing yesterday. Picture this. And I go on the wonderful world of YouTube right after. And I find out that there's a vocal coach / opera singer that could kind of be my teacher, who made a 30-minute long response to Abby's performance, technique, vocal, kind of everything to do with her singing. And she had a lot of helpful little nuggets of advice. There's a reason why I would be linking her, so if any of you music nerds want to see what you might want to, better or fix or avoid, you can go check that out. It might give you some guidance. And let's get to the meat of this, actually, because she left a comment on Abby and rap. That says, rap is one of the most narratively challenging forms of music I've had the pleasure of listening to. Although I'm not much of a rapper myself, however, that doesn't stop me from trying to sing along in the shower. Same. The focus in diction, clarity, and emotional depth is very much on par with that of opera arias and the like. If she has said such things, then Abby might want to try to listen to some before commenting. Sorry, that last sentence wasn't read out correctly. Basically, Abby might want to try and listen to some before making comments. The same thing. So, what I want to say here is that's so well put and so down to earth, but my response was a tiny bit more heated because I think I see how much more clear damage this type of rhetoric can do, I guess. Sorry if you hear my Dago squirrel, he's running all the time when I'm recording. And I watch a lot of rap singers / producers, pop singers / producers. I know a lot of people who sing pop as well. And I think in these environments you can see how much damage these types of things can do, because I think pop is another genre that Abby would attempt to invalidate. And second thing it goes to show is not all classical musicians. In fact, I'd go as far as to say most classical musicians wouldn't be on such a high horse as to invalidate people like Abby. And if you're someone who resonates with classical music, would want to try out new things even, just go ahead. I promise. There are way less Abbeys that you'd encounter compared to wonderful people that you could work with. So that's all I'm going to say. If I need to say it, I'll be there to say it. And the third thing is a tiny bit more personal, which is, despite genres in my life, which are basically pop and classical, I still have a rap song that's possibly one of these songs that never goes away from your head because of the words, because of the narrative that feels like it comes from you, not necessarily even someone else, because it's so accurate, because it's so informed, because there's so much work and care put into it, and because of the issue at hand. And that's the reason why I'm not saying the artist or the song's name, because I don't want any questions and because it's too personal at the moment. But again, I was describing a rap song. It genuinely baffles me when people try to do things like that, and that connects with Abby's lack of research. Now, if she went ahead and asked a couple of simple questions to Google, such as, what's music, what's rap, and then considered branches of what we consider art, and then did a simple kind of system of elimination, that would be it. She would deduce that, okay, WAP is music and rap is music, and we wouldn't have so much clear damage be done. That's it. Sorry if this was too heated, but I think that a video like this that speaks about genres that ultimately reflect people's feelings, because that's art, warrants a bit more of a personal response. So yeah, that's around it. Enjoy the rest of the video. We have Abby doing things like that and saying WAP isn't music. Now, as I've said, I believe that us musicians sometimes don't spend enough time thinking about what music actually is. So let's get to that. I think we can all agree that Google definition would be decent, right? So let's go with that. Music, noun, vocal or instrumental sounds, or both, check. Combined in such a way as to produce beauty or form. Beauty is one of the most subjective things out there, so what's beauty to one person can be degradation of woman to another. Harmony, that's an interesting one, we're leaving this one out. And expression of emotion. Expression of emotion is there, and that emotion is acceptable for adults. So I don't see the issue. But we don't have harmony in WAP, and I believe that many people, along with Abby, hold on to that and make that a whole argument of WAP is not a song, right? But wait a second, if our cooking evolves, if our cleaning evolves, if our interior decoration evolves, everything, if our technology evolves, why can't our art evolve in a way where, songs don't warrant harmony? And I think that's very, very interesting. There's this quote from Boyinaband. I'm not sure for the exact quote, but if I find it, I'll do my best to put it in. And it's along the lines of genres evolve, and it's an amazing thing, actually. Because if they didn't, we'd still be stuck playing only Baroque music and believing that the diminished fifth is the devil's chord, which if you want me to make a whole episode on the devil's chord, I would gladly do so. So, what I'm trying to hit home is Abby. WAP still remains music. Let's do a thought experiment. So, is WAP a sculpture? No. Is WAP a painting? I don't think so. Is WAP a choreography? You might argue, but whatever. Is WAP a cinematic piece like a movie? No. Is WAP a play you can get your friends to see? No. Is WAP a piece of literature like a poem or a novel? No. Then the last thing that stays is music. And it is music. Although, as one of the Rumi officials' guests says, it doesn't have harmony. There's nothing for the bass line to harmonize against in WAP. And there truly isn't. But as I've said, it doesn't make it not music. And admittedly, a lot of the time in rap, you would have vocals not having melody, but you would have something else making up for it. And WAP is quite interesting because
I think this is like a 0 chord song. I don't think there is even chords. There's nothing for the bass line to harmonize against. So it's rapping, and then like that sample with the guy, it's like there's no harmony.
It's almost like a grungy aesthetic. It makes you feel a little bit freaky.
It's interesting that you mentioned grunge, because I think this song is obviously meant to offend people. Like it's meant to be outrageous, which is kind of what punk and grunge are meant to be as well. It's like it's pushing against what people are comfortable with.
Say that one's good. What do you think?
I can't say I listen to it in my spare time, but I think it's good. I think it's just interesting that it doesn't have any harmony, to be honest. I think it actually does a lot with very, very little, which is impressive.
And since I forgot to make a pause in between the quotes, I'm just gonna say it now. The Boyinaband quote is next. Okay, so I tried to find the video, but as is the theme on this channel, I couldn't. I do have the quote written down because I actually really like it, and it really explains my feelings on things. So, it says, genres evolve over time, and it's a bloody good thing. Sorry, I'm not British, so I know it sounds horrible. 2, or we'd still be stuck in the 1800s writing exclusively Baroque music and avoiding the diminished fifth, because it's the devil's chord. And seriously, as much as I find it important to keep the history and keep the complexity, I think that history and complexity is really nothing if we don't fight for the future of music and maybe try and go in our own different directions with music in the future. So, yeah, that's around my thoughts on that. Enjoy the rest of the video. It's quite interesting because it does so much with so little, actually. It's impressive. Okay, now let's get to another thought experiment. This one involves a notebook. Okay, so I come to you and I tell you, hey, this is a notebook, and I think it's gorgeous. And you tell me, no, I think it's ugly. Well, that's your opinion, fine, I still think it's gorgeous. Then, second option is I come to you and I tell you, hey, this is a notebook, and I think it's gorgeous. And you go ahead and tell me, no, that is a degradation of woman, and that is not a notebook. Now, this clearly is a notebook, right? But imagine how baffled I would be if I do some internet digging, a bit of being a creep rather, and I discover that you, my friend, were studying notebooks and making notebooks for years on end. Notebooks are your forte. Like, notebooks are your area of like, excellence. I would be so baffled. And that is how this whole Abby WAP thing feels. And again, notably, classical music is the base for a lot of things. But it doesn't mean that the branches that kind of evolved and made this beautiful tree are not as valuable as the seed that you planted in, right? They're equally valuable. There might be fruits on these branches, right? And yeah, it's weird. It's weird to me whenever someone tries to kind of, using a buzzword alert, gatekeep genres and who can sing what. Now, obviously, there are certain genres that are, I don't know, specifically religious, or certain cultures sing them and stuff like that. But for a lot of genres and for a lot of people, there is a lot of choice, right? There's a lot of choice, generally speaking. You can do a lot of things. And when you have a musician telling you, hey, this innate thing you have, this thing you resonate with is wrong, that's the last thing anyone would want a musician to tell someone who enjoys music. It's weird. It's almost as if I brought a collection of poetry by Wendy Cope, and I give that to an English teacher, and they tell me, no, that's not right, because it's not Shakespeare. You're supposed to read Shakespeare only. Now, I'm not judging you if you read Shakespeare only, but if you do read Shakespeare only and judge me, for example, for reading Wendy Cope, we have a problem. We have a problem because you're causing a bit of an issue here. So, that's the same comparison. And it can really harm young musicians who want to produce, make, sing, perform in rap, because this musician that they looked up to, possibly even agreed with their views and things, is crapping all over them, for lack of a more eloquent and nice terminology. So, my conclusion is, I think Abby thinks she has a bit of a crown on her head. And she has an amazing voice, fine. But I think this still does more harm than good. And a lot of musicians, even in the modern day and age, have to convince people that what they're doing is worthwhile. You know, you cannot touch music. You cannot see anything obvious as a result with music. Music should gift someone else an experience. It should expand this passion, this belonging, this purpose to an extent that a musician feels to others. And, you know, I think you take away from that whenever you come to another reputable musician and you tell them, hey friend, what you're doing is not music. Especially when you have no basis to do so. That's the end of my TED Talk here. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was clear enough. I wanted to make this because, as I've already said, I think it really should be a piece of a bigger conversation. And I think more people should go ahead and speak about this aspect of Abby. Obviously, if you want me to do more modesty stuff, comment down below. Feel free to give me any ideas you might have. And as always, if you like my content, you can go ahead and subscribe. If you want to see more, you can click the bell and be updated each and every time I upload. I'm trying to be consistent around every Friday. And like this, if you liked it, you can follow me on other social media where we have a lot of fun, namely on Instagram. Instagram is amazing these days for me, and you can vote on polls, you can DM me for ideas, I'll take all of these into account. And I have Byte that is fairly inactive, but I'm working on making that more active and more of a situation to say. That's it. Thank you all for watching. I love you all so much, and see you next time.